Hello again to all of you wonderful, wondrous people in this part of the information superhighway, to the 123rd edition of my weekly series of Weird Mind Newsroom, where for this week we are delving into the focus of a lot of media for this week, focus on a hefty amount of new releases and trailers, and some news stories all in one place. So let's not waste too much time on this intro, and let's get delving into all things media that we do have in particular for this week.
But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more.
So we start off the selection of new releases with possibly the big film of the autumn season, a collaboration of two titans in the realm of cinema coming together to create something that, while not the most original, will make it seem like it is well worth it overall. As acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson and Oscar-winning actor Leonardo DiCaprio has teamed up with a massive project of action with the release of the all-new film of One Battle After Another. The film, based on 1990s novel of Vineland, will follow a group of ex-revolutionaries reuniting together to rescue one of their own's daughter when an evil enemy of some of them have returned after being presumed dead for around 16 years. Now, reception of this new film itself has been very highly praised, with strong praise of the cast, particularly with DiCaprio's leading man, the set pieces, narrative and action and humor, and seen by many as being one of the best of 2025, which I can feel sometimes overlooking at the reception. This is a little overpraising in some things, but I haven't seen it yet, so it could be like a sinner's thing, but we'll guess with all the praise, but I guess we'll see. But if you want to check it out for yourself, then you can catch this new film out now. It's in particular in cinemas. And for our only other film for this week is in the focus of more of a horror approach, that indicates that many stories in this genre often evoke the fear and concern of trauma for the characters in the film, and feel if they make it through that, most times the nightmare would basically be over. But it seems by this one, it seems like it's only far from over and has only just begun. So after a bit of delay from its initial release with the first part last year, we have now gotten the official release of the second part of the planned trilogy, The Strangers Chapter 2. Now, following on from the first chapter and seeing the case that one of their victims of Maya is still alive, they're preying upon and stalking their cabin home and killing their boyfriend, three masked figures soon return to finish the job. Soon, with nowhere to run and no one to trust, Maya will soon find herself in a brutal fight for survival against psychopaths who are more than willing to kill anyone who stand in their way. Now, reception on this film, like the first chapter, has been panned for being seen as an unnecessary addition to the series and a bit of a rough watch, and has been labeled as one of the worst reviewed and probably the worst reviewed horror movie of this year. But if you want to see for the next chapter of the trilogy, then you can catch this now in cinemas, and for part 3, we have no idea when it's coming out, but likely the case next year. Sticking with horror for the TV series for this week, we have the many forms of worlds and stories of some of these characters over the years, and the many tales of heroes across the vast multiverse. But in the case of this universe in particular, we're going back to a story that has a focus in the realm where the world is ruled by the dead, and we'll begin to question who will save us from our own heroes, as we have the release of the all-new animated miniseries, for the moment, of Marvel Zombies. Now, based on the Zombies episode, the first season of What If, as well as the comic books, this miniseries will see a plague turn most of the world's population, including the Avengers, into zombies. This will follow a group of survivors to discover the key to bring the end to the plague, which leads them to risk their lives traveling across the dystopian landscape and fighting superpowered zombies to save the world. Now, reception on this series has seen a bit of a mixed to modest reception, with praise to the use of its characterization, approach to the zombie genre, action, violence, and animation, with much issues stemming to some of the series being a little too formulaic and a little too short of just 4 episodes. Now, I have given the full series a watch and I felt it really fun and enjoyable, and will agree that it had its issues those, as well as the fact that some other heroes being up in the air about if they're alive or not. But overall, I had a good time with it, and if any indication of some rumors, we may see another season of this on the way. No regards, I'm all for it. If you want to check it out for yourself, it is available to catch the full miniseries now on Disney+. And one last dive into the horror genre for the new release this week, and the basis of the first of the games, as we are heading back to a series to a place that seems to be a calling to many, and will appear out of nowhere for the realm of a dense fog. And it seems in this case, that town or city is taking an approach to a new part of the world, as this creepy town is going across the globe, and the first new original entry in the series in over a decade, as we have the release of the newest game in the popular horror series with Silent Hill F. Now, set in the 1960s and set in the fictional town of Ibisugaoka, Japan, the game will have you play as Hinako Shimutsu, a high school student who you must navigate through the town that has become engulfed in the fog, while solving puzzles and fighting against grotesque monsters to survive and make it out alive. Now, reception on this new game in the series has seen some well-received reception, with praise with its visuals, narrative, and puzzles, while some of the criticism seem to stem towards the gameplay, combat, and narrative elements, but seems to be another solid entry in the series overall. And if you want to play it for yourself, it is available to play now on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Our next game release for the week is about to see us rev up the engines, take the form of many vehicles, and understand that the true key here is speed. even when the tracks get crazy and wild and bend the fabric of time and space. As the famous blue blur is back on the driver's seat as we have the release of the all-new entry in the popular racing series with Sonic Racing Crossworlds. This of course will have you play as many of the favorite characters across the Sonic series as you race to prove who is the best in many vehicle transformations, and also travel to the realm of the Crossworld system of magic green portals that can change up the race and prove who has the skills to be the first across that finish line. Now, reception on this new entry of the series has been very positively received, with praise to the smooth mechanics, fun gameplay modes and concepts, and the selection of characters, including a range of crossover characters on the way in the future. If you want to play it for yourself, then you can play it now on PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch and Switch 2, and PC. Now, you feel that some games are missing a challenge and want a form of that will make you question the approach of how you will walk in a title and go against the status quo, or have you break your monitor, controller, or both at the same time, as we have the release of the newest title from the developers of Getting Over With Benefati with the release of Baby Steps. The game will have you play as a man known as Nate, who will have to leave the confines of his mom's basement and control the movements of their steps by your own will while journeying from his home all the way to the top of the nearest tall mountain. Now, reception of this title has seen some mixed to positive reception on console and great praise on PC, with praise to its simple concept, its humor, and the control difficulty challenge the developers are known for, even if some of the critiques go to the mastering of those controls themselves or some possible performance issues on console probably, but it may as well be worth the challenge. If you want to play it for yourself, then you can play it now on PlayStation 5 and PC. Our next game, I'm not going to say much in this as it's the usual fare that is seen every year, and this is the release of the next game with the football series with EA FC 26, which of course provides an array of new features and modes for simple matches, online play, and Ultimate Team to help get you to the zone with the appeal of many that play these titles every year. Now, reception of this new entry of the series has seemed some well received, with praise for its new improved mechanics and some of the classic materials still present in the games that I feel will be useful if they're playing it for about 2 to 3 weeks. Say it's not the best in the series and yearn for the older entries, and kind of the cycle continues every year. I've seen this a lot of times, and maybe it could be different this time, but I guess we'll see how it comes out. If you want to play for this new title now, as you do every year, it's now available to play on PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch 1 and 2, and PC. As for our second last game of this week, it's time to prepare for war, but instead of just being above the surface of the planet, the battle is taking deeper into the land of the underworld to fight back and reclaim your home from a powerful adversary. As after 5 years since the original acclaimed entry released, we finally have the release of the all-new sequel of rogue hack and slashing action with Hades 2. And the game will take you to control of Melanie, the princess of the underworld and the sister of the original protagonist Zagreus, as he hacks and slashes her way to defeat Kronos, the titan of time, and take him down with all the aid of other Olympian gods. Now, reception of this follow-up has been very highly praised, with praise for major improvements to the already acclaimed original, and it's been seen as one of the best games of the year, and will be well worth seeing the battle for the game of the year in particular. If you want to check it out for yourself, then you can play it now on Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 as a console exclusive, and PC digitally for the moment, with a physical release coming to Switch on November 20th. And our last release for this week is a bit of a shadow drop release, as the title was only unveiled this week and was the case that it will see many forms of battle alongside some adversaries, but sometimes you never know if you will be a part of the light or corrupted by the shadow, as we have the release of a new take on the popular fantasy series with the release of Fire Emblem Shadows. Taking a real-time strategy approach to the series, the player will have been the role of Prince Kurt, a royal of the fallen kingdom of Ast, as you set on the allies of Gothold, Karina, and Alberta as you battle through 2 different stories of light and shadow and serve the divine dragon Naga or the dark goddess of Fenris. While I could find no reviews in the apps that's available on, the consensus seems to be very messy, with some issues stemming to be a social deduction game without any social interaction, and the game being free but bogged down by scheming pay-to-win mechanics, though there is some praise for the visuals, characters, and music in the regards, and some praise to the new take on the franchise. And if you want to try it out for yourself, it is available to play now on iOS and Android. But with all that regards, that's all the new releases that we do have for this week.
Every puzzle has an answer.
Our first trailer we have in focus for this week is with the release of the Return to a Galaxy Far, Far Away, to a time of the age of the bounty hunter after the fall of the Empire. And while this chromatic hunter may be one of the best, he will have some help in the aid of a small green precious cargo with the powerful ways of the Force. As we are jumping from the small screen of streaming to the big screen for this next entry, as we have the first trailer for the all-new full-length film conclusion to the story, with a trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, the film will follow on from the events of Season 3's conclusion, with the New Republic enlisting Din Djarin and his apprentice Grogu to take on a job following the fall of the Galactic Empire, take down some of the remaining Imperial warlords that still have threatened the galaxy across the cosmos. So in all case, there was one of the first pieces I ever mentioned as the weekly series. I think on my written versions was like the first ones in my first episode. I thought this case like this series still felt fresh and appealing from the original saga, with the building of the universe with these characters that felt close to the Western roots it was going for. And while the most recent season was a little mixed in general, I'm all fine with checking out this new one, as I do like these characters, and I hope that it is ease the issues of the last season and have it built to a satisfying conclusion conclusion, which I think is possibly the last season or overall epilogue for the show. But I guess we'll see if this is the way by the film's release in the cinemas on the 22nd of May. Our next trailer is one that have a sense of relevance in this modern day and age, the concept of the he said she said ordeal, and the base of wondering who is it that you can trust, who is telling the truth, and who will put your trust into if the person may be hiding some traumas of their past. As with the release of the second and presumed final trailer for the new film by Luca Guadagnino with a new look at After the Hunt. In the film, we'll see a college professor played by Julia Roberts finding herself at a personal and professional crossroads when a star student played by Ira DeBerry levels an accusation against one of her colleagues played by Andrew Garfield, threatening to expose a dark secret from her own past. Now, it's a case that I have seen quite an array of focus that I feel for a film on the aspect of accusations like this, and the elements of the past trauma or cancel culture I feel is reasonable to have in this day and age. It seems like it may be interesting to see the form of perspective to all this that Guadagnino can make do in this regards. Now, the reception on it I've seen from the recent film festival seems to be a bit of a 50-50 split right now, but I'm sure once the full release comes out we may get more of an idea if this is a better made project or the source and accusations were a little flaky. But I guess we'll see by the film's release in the cinemas in just about a month's time on the 22nd of October. For our first TV series trailer for the week is one that will fit right into the season as we're heading deeper into the basis of the Halloween spooky season. As a focus of a small town at face value may seem normal and welcome to some extent, it seems behind every town or city there may be a deep dark secret underbelly that will want to avoid telling, or some that will find out for themselves that they least expect it to. And in the case with this small town, it seems that even below ground we all float down there too. As we receive the third and final trailer for the upcoming series prequel based on the acclaimed novel by Stephen King with It, Welcome to Derry. The series will serve as a prequel to the two recent adaptations of the novel and set 27 years before the events of the first movie in 1962, and focus on a group of young kids who begin to sense the presence of an ancient evil, specifically Pennywise, rising in the town, and will explore more of the origins and deep history of the town of Derry and this shape-shifting clown. So initially when I first heard about these rumors of a prequel all those years ago when chapter 2 was coming out, I was wondering what was the case that they could take on this approach to this concept, as the book would provide a sense of background to the shapeshifter itself and whole like God of Chud or whatever it is kind of thing. It's been a while, so apologies in that aspect. I was wondering what was the case where they would take on the approach to this, as you know, I feel this approach shown here seems a bit more of a reasonable sense that the figure has been around for possible decades or centuries, so the whole prequel of the many eras of the past of these characters fighting against the creature makes sort of total sense. And also we finally get a proper look at the creepy clown again in this trailer, and he's still as creepy and menacing as ever. And I'm sure it'll be well worth a look into in due time, with the series set for release in a month's time on HBO Max and Sky and Now TV on the 26th of October. The fourth trailer for this week will be a case that while we have the case of a man and his man-made monster coming to us very soon from the curiosities of one Del Toro in the next few weeks, it is the case that it's not the only creature made from the dead that is brought back to life, as the case that while the monster may want to be human, there's one thing that the creation yearns for, and that seems to be in the form of a companion. And luckily for us, it seems we're getting just that. As after some delays, with the film initially set to release this week originally, we've got the trailer for the new take on Frankenstein's monster with the new film of The Bride. Now set in 1930 Chicago, Frankenstein's monster, in this played by Christian Bale, asks Dr. Euphonius to help create a companion for him. They give life to a murdered woman as The Bride, that's played by Jessie Buckley, that soon sparks romance, police interest, and a lot of radical social change. Now this film has been a fair bit of development for a good bit of time, and it seems like it was never coming out with all the delays, but at least it was finally made an appearance to us, and from what it's giving me the vibe of, instead of giving the case of a bit of a monster movie mixed with the concept of a Bonnie and Clyde story. And it seems like from what I can get in the focus of the project is that it's kind of an appealing aspect of the look aesthetic, and from the designs of the creatures that is subtle but well done. It seems like an interesting concept, and will be well worth seeing the creature be brought back to life, and if you want to see it, check it out for yourself. Come alive into cinemas from the 6th of March next year. Our next trailer is bringing us back to the realm of fantastical land full of magic, colour and sorcery, where while it may be seen like it all pristine and perfect from the outside, it seems like the truth of the inside is a lot more messier and lies about, and we'll see come down to a relationship and divide of two different girls that once were at odds with one another, who became something much closer than that, and has to be separated by the norm and the land, and we return to the land of Oz, the release of the second and final trailer for the second part of the musical of Wicked for Good. The new film will follow on from part 1, with Elphaba, now demonized as the Wicked Witch of the West, who now lives exiled from the Ozian forest, continue to fight for the silence animals and show the corruption of the wizard. Meanwhile, Galinda is living in the symbol of goodness in the Emerald City and taking the perks of fame and popularity, and under the instruction of Madame Morrible to try and be seen as a comfort for the realm of the concern of the citizens of the land. Now haunted by the separation of her close friend and her planned wedding to Fiyero, with her trying to find a way to broker a deal between the opposing sides, but possibly driving them further apart, but will need to find to come together for one more time to change things for good against the lies of the wizard, the rising mob, and a change for fellow Aussians before a girl from Kansas comes crashing into the lives of everyone. Now, it's a case that I have been one that has been a case of wondering initially if the likes of this film or adaptation of the book or musical was justified in the likes of being split into 2 parts, or if it's been overlong in the project just for the purpose of 2 more songs for the endless barrage of behind the scenes photos that make me feel like I've seen the entire films already before they've even released. It's a case I don't know how to overly feel on this at the moment. As one that was a bit indifferent about seeing the first part again from a lot of reasons in and out of the film, I'll give this a chance, but we'll keep this a bit of a minimum of anticipation. I mean, that was the same as well with the Dune films for me in this regards, but I guess we'll see if this changed for good with the films released on the 21st of November. As for the last of the film trailers we have in focus this week is in the realm of returning once more to another fantasy world, but instead of being one on this planet, we were actually traveling to the far reach of the cosmos, the far off land of blue people species, as we have seen the elements of man-made hosts in the forest, the far reach of the vast oceans, and now we're heading deep into the far mountains of the fire, as we once again return to the visual mind of James Cameron, as we have the release of the second and presumed final trailer for the second sequel of the Avatar series, with Avatar Fire and Ash. Set a year after the events of The Way of Water and settling into the group of the Mephiakan tribe, Jake Sully and the Tyrese family are grappling with the grief after the death of Netanyahu. Eventually, they encounter a new aggressive Navi known as the Ash People, led by the fiery tribe people Varang, who was allied with Jake's enemy Quaritch, as the conflict of Pandora escalates to devastating consequences. Now, if there's anything that I can give to the series of films by Cameron is that they create something unique with the visual spectacle and really evolve the world of how visual effects can be approached with. It's just the case with the likes of these films that the visual world of these characters can't fully elevate the projects that are often pulled down by a bit of uneven structure or from extended runtimes. As it seems this film is also going for the same length as the last entry at about 3 hours and 12 minutes, which I feel it can become balanced them both of them together to just find good story and writing with appealing visuals that I can give it more of a better chance. But guess we'll have to see by the film's release of the new project entry when The Fire rises into cinemas from the 17th of December. As for the first of 2 video game trailers that we have in focus, it's time to return to a world of puzzle solving and well-dressed characters that will be the case that even if the likes of murder or death has occurred, this professor is in the top hat will care more for solving some puzzles instead. As Luke and Layton are back once more to solve the puzzle of the mystery, as we received an all-new trailer for the long-awaited new entry in the puzzle series with the trailer Professor Layton and New World of Steam. Now, set 1 year after the events of the Lost Future, Layton's ward of Luke Triton has moved to the city of Steam Bison, a city in the US that is full of steam engine technology and will soon find himself faced with a new mystery controlled by the power of the ghostly gunman King Joe. I will send a letter to Layton to help in the mystery and solve the case before everything goes up in smoke. So it's a case since the announcement of this game about 3 years ago now, I've got a bit of an appeal back to delve into Layton games, and after all the time I've nearly gathered all the titles. I'm just missing Azure Legacy and Spectre's Call, and I have obtained a very affordable price version of Layton vs Phoenix Wright in that regards, and a good solid price too. And it's a case the new entry to the series is well needed in this day and age. The world and spectacle of this title is already looking great, and I'm looking forward to delving into this new history, as is another Irish creator I know of. As case, we'll need a little longer to wait for this title, as is now set for release sometime in 2026. And for our second game focus trailer this week, it's time to tap into the realms of what people are most afraid of, and really delve into the concept of what really makes them jump out of their skin in fear and terror. As a master game creation... Hello? As the master game creation of Hideo Kojima and some creatives in the horror sphere, including one of Jordan Peele, are here to bring an all-new look at a bit of a teaser for the all-new game simply known as OD. Now, not much is really given the likes of a plot, but it's seen as the planned episodic type game that will explore the concept of testing your fear threshold and what it really means to OD on fear. It's case that likes this title is so interesting. I remember the original teaser was something that had a lot of mystery behind it, where it was focused solely on the faces of some of the actors involved in the title. In the case of this new one, it's focused on Sophia Liz performing a ritual where a presence knocks on the door, I swear to God, and gives a bit of an unsettling vibe, and it's all it gives what PT was going to be, then I'm all for getting very spooked and scared. Now, there's no planned release window for this title as of yet, but it'll be coming soon onto Xbox and PC, and I'm sure it'll be released on other consoles down the line soon after. And wrapping up trailers this week is coming full circle back to us going to the realm of the galaxy far, far away once more. But in the case of focusing solely on one character narrative, we are instead exploring multiple different parts of the galaxy to tell many stories across this vast timeline, and some unique styles too, as the release of the trailer for the third season to the anthology series of Star Wars Visions. This, of course, will be a series of episodic stories that will tell unique tales in the universe, from likes of a blind Padawan on a spiritual journey, a smuggler's dangerous mission, some stories on the focus of the rebuilding of the Jedi Order, a princess leading a rebellion against the Empire, and many more to come from the galaxy far, far away. So I've seen some of the vast stories of the 2 seasons so far that released, and a few of them have been pretty decent. I will say the unique style and vision of the animation, and from them forms to work well in the aspect of like something dubbed as well. In all the case, I think they have some unique vibe and will be well worth checking out more in these in due time. time. We don't have to wait too much long for this third season, as the release of the Stories of Legend will be released into Disney Plus in about a month's time on the 29th of October. In that regards, that's all the trailers that we do have for this week.
Cody! No, he's out here. I can feel it in my nuggets.
So the first of the focus stories that we have for this week is the focus on the scenes that, like, when we think we have a week of no big streams or studios announcing game titles, out of nowhere comes Sony with the announcement of a PlayStation State of Play for this week. And in the case of this comes in the form of talking about 20 new overall entries in the conference. That I will say is a good selection, though we're not the best, but okay, with one or two that appealed to me the most in this overall event. I'll be giving a quick fair amount of focus, giving a little bit of discussing on nearly everything announced at the event, so let's get talking about the event this week. So in the event started off strong with the small selection of the hype titles for me, as we had to focus the first gameplay of the title of Seros from the studio of House Marquee that made Returnal, and we'll see Rahul Kohli play a character named Arjun Devraj as you investigate a lost off-world colony and save this planet from the wrath of a powerful godlike entity. And the case of the game looks really cool and some of the visuals go hard in perspective. I'm all for playing this title, and it's finally got a release date, with the title now set for release on the 20th of March next year. Also in the case of regards, shout out to Kohli for seeing my post on Insta when I shared it. Helped make my load day seem a little bit better. We then got a new espionage-based style RPG in the form of title of Zero Parades for Dead Spies. It will see you play as a former agent haunted by a mission gone awry about 5 years earlier, and will see yourself on a new turn-based case to help possibly alleviate those nightmares and clear your conscience. It's an interesting looking title from the look and perspective of the game, and I'm sure it'll be well worth a look into in the near future when the title releases sometime next year. Then the weirdest announcement I was not expecting to see from this, but was announced that Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming to the PS5, which seems to be the most that some Microsoft franchises are looking to share their toys with the competition. I feel this is a weird name and title to see released on a PlayStation conference, but if it's a game you want to try for yourself, then you can play it on PS5 from the 8th of December. We then went to the focus of heading to war and take up the call to arms. We got to look at the upcoming single-player campaign for the newest entry of the Battlefield series of Battlefield 6. That will have you control the members of the squadron of Dagger 13 as you fight against a corrupt private military company of Pax Armada. And from the looks of the titles, I feel this may be an appealing course correction that some feel were needed after initial disappointment of 2042 and launch, though it has improved more later down the line. I'm always enjoying playing these campaigns more over the multiplayer, and I may give a look into this title itself when the release is in about 2 weeks time on the 10th of October. Then the title that seems to be on the approach of a new coat of paint to the title, which with the reveal of a remaster of the 2000s classic title of Deus Ex that will follow the approach of the Tomb Raider trilogy's approach of switching to newer frame rates and updated visuals and character models. Although it seems most are a bit underwhelmed and think it does not look great visual wise, and feel it would make more sense of a remake approach instead of a remaster study, but I guess we will see whether this version holds up on the classic title with the release of the game on the 5th of February next year. Then we got a little bit of a spooky and scary, and the roles you may choose will be down to you as you unveiled a new look at the game based on the popular series of Halloween that will see you play as some of the members of Haddonfield as you try to survive against Michael Myers and try to escape with your life intact, or play as the silent mass killer himself and take out the citizens with some of the unique abilities that you will obtain as this killer. And this look has the vibe of the Friday 13th game with some new improved visuals, and I'm sure it'll be well worth a try in due course when the game releases on the 8th of September of next year. Then it was available with the popular dungeon crawler title of Lost Epoch that has been seen some acclaim on the PC for well over a year now, will be making its way onto the console in due course, and will let you take on the role of one of 15 classes, explore dangerous dungeons, solve mysteries, and craft some legendary weapons. And it seems like it's all well worth a try, but it's released sometime soon. If it also confirmed, it will also get some day one DLC in the form of Orbius coming alongside it, so it may be worth checking it when it does become available sometime soon. Then we got a new look at the upcoming title of 7 Deadly Sins Origins as we take on the role of Prince Tristan, explore and save the land of Britannia from the corruption of space and time, and I'm sure will appeal and entertain many people looking for a new anime style RPG and will be available for those to play on the 20th of January next year. Then besides the case of a focus on Sonic Lost Worlds with the Crossworlds with the release of Mega Man and Proto Man coming to the game, we got another look at the new footage of Neo 3 that shows us more new elements of the story, including some of the powerful enemies that we'll be up against in this new open world type battle entry of the series, and I'm sure there will be an appeal for the game and maybe worth trying out the series before this new game drops on the 6th of February next year. Then we got the focused announcement of a second remaster of the State of Play with the announcement of a remaster to Dynasty Warriors 3 that will see an all new updated visual aesthetic as you become a one-man army against an armada that seems to be a bit more than a simple remaster from the looks of things, but I'm sure it'll be well worth a try when the title releases on the console from the 19th of March. We then got another look at the new entry of the Code Vein series where you and a chosen partner will explore vast open worlds, fight powerful enemies, and uncover quite an epic story that will transcend the realm of time and space, and be well worth a check out when the game releases on the 30th of January of next year. They then show off another brief look at the new remaster of the Final Fantasy Tactics game of the Valis Chronicles that will have you all appeal of the original and all new upscale look and aesthetic aesthetic as well as playing the classic style, and we will have seen the appeal when the game launches some point next week. Then it's time to fight in the game known as Let the Die Inferno, where you will play as an immortal raider who will dive into the abyss that has opened up on the earth and obtain an item known as the Eye of the Reaper. And it seems like an interesting element of a looter-based open world title that may be well worth a try when the game releases on the 4th of December this year. Then another title that has been giving me an interesting look and appeal is with the title known as Chronoscript, The Endless End, where you play an editor that is trapped in the pages of a manuscript, and you fight your way across the vast array of visual pages and settings in a massive study full of books and secrets. And I like the whole vibe and look to it all, and I feel maybe well worth a try when the game releases some point next year. They then shown off a focus for a title known as Crimson Desert, where you will play as a man named Cliff, a mercenary for the continent of Pywell who becomes beleaguered by the burdens of leadership and painful past memories as you rebuild your army of the Grey Mares and restore the land for what was lost. It seems interesting, quite stylish, and I'm sure it'll be well worth a try and look when the game launches on the 19th of March as well next year. Then the first of two accessories of focus that will drain a certain amount of your wallet is with the announcement of Pulse Elevate wireless speakers that will let you get the high quality sound for your games on your PS5 and even the Portal, and we well have seen the cost and level of power from the release sometime in 2026. Then the case of the second piece of tech and focus is one that I feel it would find any other time, but when it's the only thing you're given a focus announcement for an anniversary of a popular series, and I feel it's kind of lacking in appeal, as we got the focus that we're getting a new DualSense controller for the 20th anniversary of God of War. And while it's a simple design controller, I feel it would make more sense for a remastered form of the original trilogy alongside it, but I guess if you want the new controller, then you can obtain it when it releases on the 23rd of October this year. And finally, the last announcement of the event was one that was a long time coming. One that may have been waiting to see, and many thought we would never get. But after 4 years since the title was first announced in September 2021, we were finally graced with a new look at the title of Wolverine from Insomniac Games, and it is glorious. From the action, the outfit, the bloody violence, chef's kiss. It does look really cool, and I'm hyped for this title. I know it'll be well worth the 5-year wait when the title drops in the fall of next year. But with that now, that brought the end of what I feel is a very underwhelming state of play, and I feel that they could have been better with some more new banger announcements that I feel is a strange time for the gaming industry. If it had some more solid titles for sure, I feel it would have been more appealing, but I guess from checking them all out, I'll give them a look over due time, but I feel they could have been better, but I will take what we got overall. But I want to know your thoughts on all of these titles and games. What are you most excited for to play, and what did you wish was announced at the state of play or shown off? Let me know what you think down below in the choices in the comments. And our second and final news story for this week is a selection of some more smaller stories of hodgepodge. It may not overly connect in much ways, but we'll have some sense of news and importance, and we'll get into a focus on the announcements now. So we'll start off a focus with a story that connects to one of the big success stories of the films from this year, and that's to do with the recent release of the film of Weapons. Now, the movie's had a success for the last near 2 months, with it being a success for WB and making a nice $265 million in box office, which is quite a well-earned feat for a horror title, because I think the highest grossing was like $700 million, so that's pretty good. And it seems to be a case of there may be a possibility of maybe returning to the element of the story in some form. As according to the studio, it seems WB and director Zach Krieger, who also publicly confirmed this, are looking to make a new film with the overarching narrative, with the prequel focus onto the character of Aunt Gladys. Now, in the original, her whole narrative backstory and her sense of power elements are kept very vague, but given just enough in the original cut, though there was reported there was a fair bit more in the original aspect film before it was trimmed down for length and pacing issues, and it seems like it could be the backbone of the prequel story. Most of us are trying to avoid spoilers for this movie as a recent film. Now, personally, I don't know of how to feel about this new film in the series, as while I think Weapons is an unsettling and great film, I don't know if I would be clamoring for a prequel with the character and feel maybe it is best to keep it as a one-off and let this audience come to their own interpretation of the character itself. This isn't the first time the WB has tried to do this year with the original success, as there was rumblings that they were wanting to make a follow-up to the movie Sinners as well, but that one seems to have been shot down by director Ryan Coogler, who holds the rights to that title. I guess in the moment I would give it a chance to see what we can expect from this film, but if there's any new word on this expecting of this title, I'll provide it in a later episode, of course. Now for a little bit of some animated news, we have a new take on a form of a popular film from nearly 20 years ago now, returning to a new realm and story in the focus, as it was announced this week that we are getting a new form of a follow-up TV series based on the popular Sony animated film of Surf's Up. Now it's confirmed that the approach to the original film in the way of the documentary-mockumentary style approach to the original film will be kept. The original film's co-directors are returning to the project, and the characters from the film of like Cody, Lonnie, Chicken Joe, Tank, probably Big Z are all confirmed returning for this new follow-up, and honestly I'm all for this new take in the series and be interested to see what will come of this project. Now I do hope in all cases this will have a sense of the original cast back or close to it, and it keeps the appeal and style of the first movie and not try to make it the case that the second film, a tie-in with WWE superstars, is canon in that aspect, because that movie is rough. But I guess we'll see by its production. Now no word has been made yet of when we can expect this to release, but once I do hear anything I will provide it in a later episode of course. Now staying with Sony and animation, we got a little bit of a possible positive news in regards to the highly anticipated third part of the Spider-Verse trilogy with Beyond, as was announced this week that the film will be releasing 1 week earlier, moving up its release to June 18th, which was given it 2 weeks of a strong contest before its initial competition of the 5th Shrek film at the end of the month, but will still be in a bit of a competition with some animated affair as we'll be up against the same day release of Pixar's newest film of Gatto. There's still a strong animation box office weekend. Now this spells a little bit of a good news, as the case that the film is released earlier, then it means that progress is going along really great, and I hope that the animators are being treated really well this time around and will lead to a very solid outcome of a perfect possible trilogy of films over some peak cinema, but I'm sure we'll see more by its release in about a year and a half's time. Staying with Spider-Man for just a moment, we have a little bit of a casting update for the next live action MCU outing with Brand New Day for the webhead, as it was confirmed that actor and musician of Marvin Jones III has been cast in this new film as the character of Tombstone. Now this is not the first time that this actor has played the powerful brute, as he was also the voice of the character in the first Into the Spider-Verse movie and is set to return as the voice in Beyond, so it felt right to have him back as the character. In all sense, it feels very full circle casting. Now I'm intrigued to see some of the designs and look of the character in due time. Wonder if he will have much of a presence in this film, as he is the second confirmed villain for this movie after Scorpion, but I guess we'll see more as time goes on, and if anyone else gets added to this film I will of course provide that in a later episode of course. Now moving on to another franchise in focus, we have got a little bit of an update to the next entry of the 007 franchise of James Bond, and it relates to the focus on casting. Now since the director confirmation, there's been a lot of speculation as to who's the frontrunner of some of the characters in the film, with much of it focused on Bond himself, where all the names in focus were of the casting of well-known British actors portraying the character. Now, it was a case I felt that doing this would make it lessen the appeal and just another name for the growing resume for these actors, but it seems that the director is thinking otherwise. Now according to Denis Villeneuve himself, he has specified that he's looking to start to focus on production of this Bond film once he's done with the next and presumed final film of the Dune series he's directing with Messiah, and that the other aspect that he's looking for an unknown British actor to take on the mantle of Bond, which I personally am all for more than a familiar face at the time. In all regards, you can still do the big names for the other parties like the Bond girl or the villain, but having a new face of Bond to be an unknown appeals more to me in all regards. And nothing has been started as of yet. I think he's starting production in the beginning of next year, but in the case I do hear anything, I'll provide that in a later episode of course. And lastly is more in the realm of the physical item, and the last bit of gaming news content we have for this week is with the update to an item known as the ROG Xbox Ally. As after initial reveal back in June and then the release date announced a few weeks ago for next month the 16th, on Friday this week we were finally given the official prices for the new Xbox handheld. Now all I can say is in this regards, I think we may owe the Switch 2 an apology for the console price. The games are still vary and stuff like that, but an apology. As was announced that the white Xbox Ally will come in at a cost of $600 in euros, and the Ally X will come in at about $1,000. Now this puts in the more expensive of the handheld based items out there, as the Portal is the cheapest at $240, the Switch 1 is around $300-$360, Switch 2 is $450, and then the Steam Deck is also cheaper with the price around $560 for the 512GB OLED. I think about $300 for the standard LCD one, but in any case the normal Ally is cheaper than the 1TB Steam Deck, but it's still very too high of a price for a handheld that yes plays both Xbox and PC titles, still feels a bit too much overall and may affect the sales in that regards. Do I see the price staying at it as it is? Probably not for too long, as it could be a lot of stock left on shelves of being too expensive to buy, but I'm sure some will buy for that much. I may get one in the future as well as with a Steam Deck, but probably wait for this to be cheaper. I guess we'll see if the price is worth it by its release in 3 weeks, but will be hard to tell if it's a solid move or disaster in waiting. But in all regards, I want to know what you make of these stories. Would you be interested in a Weapons prequel? Are you up for a TV series on Surf's Up? Do you see Beyond sticking to the date or get moved around and released again? Who else do you think will be cast in Brand New Day? What unknown actor would you cast as the next Bond? And will you be buying the new Xbox handheld? Let me know your reasons down below in the comments, and with all that regards, that's all the news stories that we do have for this week.
We'll just tackle this thing together, one little baby step at a time.
And now with all of that brings us to the end of a very overlong and very rambly episode of Weird Mind Newsroom. I do hope you enjoyed it overall anyways. So in this regards, I'm not going to go too long on this conclusion anyway. Anyways, here's a quick few updates of what to expect. So reviews wise, I have the Snacks box office. I'm going to edit maybe some tonight as well as a case of during the week. I know I said I was going to have some out this week. I apologize in this regards. I'm going to have them along case. I'm going to do some reviews. I have a sort of a solid week where I'm basically free, so I'm going to try and get a chance to like write a lot of it and upload some stuff. So a lot of those reviews are going to come along eventually. They're going to come along next week or two, so please look forward to them. I apologize, it's just been weird mind episodes and the odd like gameplay or random stuff, so I apologize for that. In the case of some gameplays and stuff, DK Bonanza will also be uploaded tonight. Hopefully, the case of things, I'm going to just quickly edit through it tonight as well and have it uploaded by, I don't know, but by at least tonight or tomorrow. This will probably be afterwards, so we'll see that case of things. And then get some more Mario Odyssey, Star Wars, DK Bonanza, and I'm going to get some Halloween stuff for the spooky season of October. I think someone suggested me Phasmophobia. I'm gonna have a look into that in regards, like, anyway. I'll have a good case in that, but that will be coming on as well, and some horror games in that aspect. And then long form stuff and things like that. Rewatchathon is coming. The Harmless Boar is probably going to come. The AI Audience Choice video is definitely happening, as well as some other case of things. The same with gameplay wise for Ventilate, they're both coming. And in regards to case, I'm going to do some more time lapse ones. I'm trying to decide a case. It seems to be a case, it's a 4-way vote for some sets I have, and I have another 2 coming in tomorrow, so we'll keep in the regards of things, but those time lapses are coming. So let me know what you want to see me build down below. I might do a list of ones I might have, but I'll see if I remember to. But in that regards case, I'm going to leave the episode there for now. So if you like my content, want to see more from me more frequently, then simply like and subscribe. I upload new episodes of this every single week, maybe some odd stuff now and again. I'm aiming for 500 subs. I know in case I'm losing 1 or 2 subs every now and again, but I hope in case I try and reach to 500. So any support and chance to do that would be appreciated. I will be ever so grateful for people that help with the 500 subs, and for all those of, like, you know, day ones, people that disappear and always are welcome back, or basically some new people here, welcome in. But let me know your thoughts on everything that was discussed this week, from the new releases, trailers, or news stories, or let me know like any good stuff that happened to you this week in terms wise of like media stuff or just in general. I'd love to hear. Just let me know in the comments. So I'm happy to have a conversation I'll use. But in that regards, I think I'll leave the episode there for now. I've rambled long enough, but as always, you all stay being wonderful people and have a great day every day, do many great things, keeping you because no one else can do what you do, and especially for this month as well. Take care of yourself, because mental health is very important, and check it on your friends and family, because they may need it more than ever. In that regards, I've been your host Sam, of course. As always, you stay being wonderful people, and I'll see you on the next one. So take care.